And welcome, guys, to another episode. So today we're going to be talking about something which is interesting, and also we're going to be talking about the Messi effect. I don't know if you guys watched the LAFC versus the Inter Miami match from September 3rd. If you guys saw how crazy it was, how many times you had celebrities, you had everybody there, Selena Gomez, everyone was like taking pictures, and they were all like fangirling, or everyone was going crazy. Now, most people do not know and haven't actually done the research to see how much money Messi has actually brought into the MLS, into the Inter Miami team. So go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we're gonna go. All right, so if you're a soccer fan, you're a football fan, the actual football. I know people are gonna be like, "What do you mean football? The one that you actually kick, the actual football." In America they call it soccer, but soccer. If you're familiar with soccer, then you know who Messi is. Okay, I don't know anyone who's gonna be like, "I don't know who Messi is," but you know who Messi is if you're familiar with soccer. Now, you know what's also interesting. You know what's interesting with I don't know if you guys know, but Messi back in July 15th of this year. July 15th of this year, Messi made a move, okay? A very bold move. Messi made a move and he basically left his team and started playing for none other. He joined the MLS and started playing for a team. They wear a pink jersey and they are based out of South Florida, the party city of Florida, Inter Miami. And I remember when I heard the news, I was like, whoa. Messi is playing for what? And I personally couldn't believe it because I was like, dude, that's insane. Messi is literally listen, that to me was kind of like the most insane news that I ever heard. When like, I didn't even believe it, but most people were like, oh yeah, do you know Messi's playing for Messi? And I was like, I personally didn't believe it. But recently I was having a conversation with a few friends of mine, and we were talking about with football fans. So it was an Indian guy, and it was another American guy who, surprisingly, this guy also liked football, not football where you run into people, but soccer. And we were having this conversation, and we are talking about the Messi effect, right? Like, literally, we were talking about what Messi has done in the team. So I want to kind of share a little background stuff, guys. I want you guys to think about it. So Messi, back in July 15th, 2023, made the announcement and made the decision that he was going to be switching and he was going to be joining the Inter Miami team. And when he made that announcement, this is the New York Times right now. There was reportedly that his contract was supposed to pretty much bring him, earn him about $50 to $60 million per year in compensation packages. This was the Inter Miami announcement. This was made in July 15th, 2023. When they made this announcement, everybody was shocked because it was like, wait, Messi's coming to America. I mean, never would I ever thought, that this was going to happen, but yeah, it happened. Messi was coming to America. He made that announcement and basically came to join basically came to Inter Miami, right? So what was interesting? What was interesting? What was interesting about that was, um, so Messi basically made a switch. So basically, I don't know if you guys have actually thought about it and looked at it from a perspective of Messi on his own, right? Before he came into the Inter Miami team, you know what's interesting? We're going to look at the stats. We'll look at the numbers here, guys. Before Messi came into the Inter Miami team, in the Inter Miami team was basically doing an annual revenue of $54 million, 54 million, and the tickets were going for about $95. $95 was what the tickets were going for. That was the average ticket price of if you were trying to go to an Inter Miami game, you pay like in $95, give or take. There's a bunch of ads on this, guys. So, but when Messi came about, basically he quadrupled the revenue of Inter Miami, basically taking them from basically 54 million to a projected revenue of 224 million in 2024. 224 million. Okay, so they went from 56 million to 224 million. Just to think about, I want you guys to think about it for a second here. Okay, the income is basically this year is going to double to 110, right? So 110 and then 224 by 2024. Now, here's another thing which is also interesting. They're selling out tickets, right? They're selling out tickets. Messi's game. If any one of you are like, you know what, I want to go to Messi's game. I want to go to the game. I was talking to one of the guys I was talking to. Was like, yeah, I wanted to take my kids to the game because he was going to be playing in Atlanta, and he looked at the price and was like, the cheapest ticket was roughly around $400. He's like, dude, I can't. He's like, he told his kid, he's like, I can't take you there. I can't. We're not gonna be going to the game because he was like, dude, it was way way out of his price range. It was way out of his budget. But think about it from that perspective of think about it from that perspective of one man basically had the effect of basically bringing a 4x and quadrupling basically a soccer club's revenue. Now, what's interesting, you're going to be like, okay, so Emmanuel, where are you getting the 1.3, $1.5 billion? How did he make it? How did he make this business into, from a 54 million? We saw 54 million in 2022. How did he make it into a point in which they're now basically going to be projected to be worth 1.3, 1.5 billion? So we're going to go ahead for this. We're going to go ahead and look into this. So this is, which is also interesting. We're going to be looking at an article from this is Yahoo Sports, and we're going to be looking at Yahoo Sports. And Yahoo Sports basically had an article. Hopefully, less ads on this one. So when he came on the team, where this is the number right here. So according to Sportico valuation, so basically they are number 10. They were ranked number 10 out of number 28. And in the US sports rank, they rank 1/3. And also pretty much the annual revenue 2020 projected revenue was about 54 million until they made that announcement, but they were valued at 585 million. So I believe that's about a 10-year valuation, but they're valued at pretty much 585 million, and they brought in about 54 million in revenue. Okay. But the owner of Jorge Mas said in a television interview last month with CNBC that the club's valuation could reach, there's a potential that the club's valuation could reach 1.3 to 1.5 billion dollars by 2024. Okay, that's basically the valuation they're evaluating this year. So this is it projected just think about it. Sportico's projected $54 million in revenue. That's what it projected for the team. Okay, but it also projected Atlanta United as the league's highest earning club, for Atlanta United to do 103 million in revenue. But just by bringing in Messi, boom, the game is already 10x. Boom, the game has pretty much gone on. And also, you got to think about it. Messi's also making a lot of money in all the deals that he signed with Apple and all the other famous streaming services that's out there. So now let's come full circle into this, guys. Let's come full circle into this. Think about it. One man comes into a country that he doesn't, well, obviously he has a house in Miami, but he comes into a country. Just by coming into this country, he was able to, just by his reputation alone, was able to come into a country, and then all of a sudden the people are going Google gaga Google crazy. Okay, they were going Google gaga crazy. Now this, which is interesting, is so this was from the LAFC. So they played, this was September 3rd, which was on Sunday. This was on Sunday, September 3rd, where they played, this was in Miami, and I think this was LAFC. But look at this. This is crazy. So basically, according to BBC, this is according to BBC News. This is on the Instagram. This is what BBC News posted on their Instagram. They had you had Leonardo DiCaprio, Selena Gomez, Prince Harry, Owen Wilson. Since basically Messi, he made his first debut 22nd of July. So this is all the celebrities. You have them basically all fangirling from Messi. They literally all basically fangirling. They're all like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy who's, Messi's here. Messi, everybody's like going crazy. Everyone's going crazy. Like, whoa, that's kind of insane. But why am I bringing this point to you? I want you guys to pretty much think about it. So not only just think about it from a perspective of, we're looking about the valuation that one person came in, took the company from 54 million to 224 million projected. Also now, based off of calculations, might go to 1.3 to 1.5 billion USD. Think about that, 1.3 to 1.5 billion USD. That is more than the GDP of most countries. Okay, that is more than the GDP of most countries. And you literally have one man bringing it in. But now let's think about it from a perspective of, we're looking at about how he affected the valuation of the club. How was he able to bring the revenue in? How are they able to go from 54 million to almost 1.3 billion? How? Well, one, ticket sales, merch sales. Look at it from a perspective of the price of a ticket to an Inter Miami game went from $95 to as much as 90. It was going to as much as, I'm going to read this article here. This is from the LA Times. Okay, this is from the LA Times. Let's go ahead and pull this up here. I want you guys to see this, because you got to see this to pretty much understand what I'm talking about here. So the tickets cost for this is the Inter Miami play. Okay, so we had to go from right here, where basically, just kind of read this out to you. So he listed 2 tickets he has with his partners for $650 on each Ticketmaster, which is built into season ticket holders and weighted. All right. After Messi scored 2 goals in the first 20 minutes of his career on the club, the ticket sold. So basically, he sold $650 ticket. This is someone's story, right? Now it gets even better. Tickets on StubHub were selling for at least 5:58 on Friday afternoon, up from 4:50 on Wednesday. One pair of seats close to the field that had been listed Thursday at more than $36,000. Okay, somebody listed their tickets at $36,000 was sold by Friday. Another pair of seats, not quite as good. They're not that great. Was available for $96,000 on Friday. Now, just to think about this, a ticket to an average game typically costs $95,000. That is a 1,000% increase. Think about this, guys. Let's play this again. A 1,000% increase. You're like, okay. Now you're gonna say so. More than 85% of the 22,000 seats at BMO Stadium have been sold to season ticket holders. One of the highest percentages in the league, with an average game producing a game revenue of $2 million. So each game produces a revenue of $2 million just by one person alone, just by Messi being there. Okay, Inter Miami's Instagram following was about 1 million before Messi joined. So before Messi joined, he had 1 million followers. Messi joining team, now the club has 14.7 million Instagram followers. Okay, so that's also good. Since Messi announced he'll be joining Inter Miami in June, average ticket prices for a game have increased by more than 5 times to 161, which is now the average, nearly 64% above the league average, according to StubHub. The match between Inter Miami and LAFC on Sunday is the second highest selling MLS game of the season. That's what according to StubHub. So you got to think about it in various ways that basically one person coming on board had the ability to influence ticket sales. I don't know how pretty much realistic it is for somebody to pay $96,000 for a ticket that me, you, and I know are not worth that much. But think about it. Somebody was willing to pay 96 grand. But we're not going to stop there, guys, because you know what's interesting is this is a lot of people are going to listen to this like, yeah, who's Messi, you know, all this stuff and all that stuff. But let's look at it from a perspective of the ability for Messi, one man, to come in less than 3 months, overnight, took a company's value, a business, the team's valuation to up to 9 figures, 1.3 to 1.5 billion. Now you're gonna think about it. Is it overnight? Absolutely not. There's no such thing as overnight success, because most people might be thinking all of this is pretty much Messi just showed up. But you got to think about it. Look at his track record. The guy has been playing since 1992. Okay, Messi has been playing since 1992. If you look at his track history and you look back. If you look back to his track history here, you see here that he basically played his first game 1992-1995 with Grandoli. This was in Argentina, and then he played with most people don't know this. He played with the PSG France. He and Mbappe, they actually were teammates. They were playing in the same league for a little bit for the same club. And so when you see the rivalry in the World Cup, you're like, whoa, you know. And everyone is like arguing. I might actually piss off a few people here. You know, I'm a Messi fan. I'm a big Ronaldo, and I think Ronaldo and Messi are both phenomenal players, but I think this is like me actually about to choose one right now. It's like picking between two star players. But you guys pretty much watching this audience, take a guess. I want you guys to take a guess. Who do you think I'm gonna pick? Who do you think I'm gonna pick? Once you guys take a guess, I'm gonna make another video, and whoever has a comment of who I pick, I am going to say, you know what, this is the GOAT. This is the GOAT. Is it Ronaldo? Is it Messi? We're going to look at all the players and we're going to look at all the stats. But today we're just basically talking about Messi and looking at his stats as far as the guy has been playing since 1992 for more than 20. He has a 19 to 20-year career that he's been playing. So if his ability to influence ticket prices and sales prices was not something that started overnight, it was something that has started from 1992. Okay? Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up for you to understand the power. The most important thing is the power of a brand. The power of a brand. The power of a brand is something in which you might not think about it as to most business owners are not focused on. The one key thing is you got to understand, you got to be showing up. You got to be showing up, and you got to be good at what it is that you do. Because if you're good at it, whatever you do over a period of time, the marketplace at some point will reward you. It's impossible to go wrong. The marketplace will 100% reward you. Now, this is another video. This video I want to kind of talk about. I want to kind of dive into this video here. This is a video by, you know, yours truly, our one and only Alex Hormozi. He made a video, and I want to go ahead and talk about this video because I think pretty much this is just going to pretty much summarize and bring it full circle as far as what branding
The
is.
most important thing in sales, number one, above everything, and this is a strong statement for me to say, is frame, the context under which the conversation is happening. So you can be the most skilled salesperson in the world, and you will sell less than somebody who has a line out the door because of how much value they've provided every single person in that line. It doesn't matter if you're the best person in the world. Fewer people will buy from you if they've never met you, you've provided nothing to them. If you're trying to sell more, learning all the mechanics of sales, overcomes, etc., is worthwhile, is important, but you're missing the biggest one, which is you build brand, you provide value first so that you don't have to.
That's the whole point. You provide value first. So I'm going to give you guys an interesting. So there's a company I was promoting. I'm not going to promote the company anymore. And the reason why I'm not going to promote the company anymore is because I think phenomenal. What I mean, the product is the product has the ability to revolutionize business as a whole. I'm just not in support of the way that the stuff is pretty much being operated, right? And it's not my product, it's their product. That's my thing. I'm just personally not going to do it because personally I think at the end of the day branding is key. I think in the end, and the way you build a brand is very, very, very important. So when you build a brand, you got to understand this too. It takes, they say what, it takes 20 years to build a brand and it takes one day to ruin it, right? And when you look at it from a perspective of, okay, I'm going to build a brand for, my, build a brand that's going to live longer. Like what I'm trying to do right now is build a brand. I mean, we're still a very, very, very small podcast. It's a very, very, very small channel. But at the end of the day, I know, like, you know what, if I just show up, even if it's 15, 20, 30, 35, 40 minutes, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter what, the timeline is, as long as consistently be here, bring you guys phenomenal guests, which we're going to have phenomenal guests, by the way, on the next podcast. I personally believe in building a brand, right? But that's the key thing is you got to look at it from a branding effect, which means you got to show up, but you got to keep showing up to the point at which people are like, you are providing value and you're going to keep providing value. And as long as you're going to keep providing value, people will see a reason to support you. Now, think about it. You have celebrities fangirling, going crazy, going Google Gaga crazy just because Messi was playing. Think about that. People were going Google Gaga because Messi was playing, and these are A-list celebrities looking at this guy. Because if you have Messi, they're looking at Messi as an A-list celebrity. Then that means if an A-list celebrity sees him as an triple A list celebrity, then you've achieved triple A celebrity status, right? But that's what you got to think about it from a perspective of in your business, in your brand. How can you basically build a brand? Because there's a few things you got to build a brand. Is one, you got to build a brand by showing up. It's very important. You got to be consistent. Consistency is key, which means when people buy Nike, they expect Nike to be ABC. ABC. Nike is this is the value that they get. They expect to get the same thing. So you must be very consistent. Okay, you must be very consistent. And then two, people need to understand your story. Your story is very important. Your consistency is key. Your stories is important. If you're finding it that you're struggling to sell your product, is because there is no story. Like if I'm on a sales call with anyone and I have to sell a product, the most important thing is I need to understand what story that the customer is telling themselves. I need to know what story is going in your head. And then my job is to basically tell my story. And then if you believe that my story will make an impact in your life, you will adopt my story. And then based off of that, once you adopt my story, you buy the product because basically sales is just an exchange of belief, right? So it's like, and we believe based off of the stories we tell ourselves, and you believe what you believe because of the story you tell yourself. If you believe the story I tell myself is pretty good, you believe it. That's the same concept as to when you look at the concept of a brand. What's the story behind the brand? How did the brand come to be? What is the journey? Because people who follow the journey of it tend to be more loyal to it. You're like, oh my God, Nike, this is what I think it was Knight. This is what he went through. It was Phil Knight, I believe. Phil Knight was the founder of Nike, and let me just fact check myself there real quick. I think Phil Knight was the founder of Nike. Was founder of Nike. Yeah, there you go. He's founder of Nike. So Phil Knight was basically the founder of Nike, and he went through a lot, and he started Nike for $500, but he went through a lot to build the brand because he understood that branding was key. He understood that people will pay more for the brand than they will actually pay for the product. Because once you have they pay more for a name than they will pay for the product, right? People buy shoes based off of, hey, are you wearing a Nike? Oh yeah, I'm wearing a Nike. You wearing a Nike? What? I'm wearing a Nike. So that's kind of the whole concept, and I want you guys to look at it. That's kind of the whole perspective that I want you to kind of have in mind is to the brand, your consistency, the fact that you keep showing up. The fact that you have a good story, and here's the most important thing, and I'm gonna say this is listen to your customers. Listen to your customers. Listen to your customers. Let people tell you. Customer service is key because you got to think about it. The difference between a restaurant that they sell a product for, because all right, so I'll tell you this: if you go to a nice restaurant, a few years back, I was this really nice restaurant. It was about $90, 80 to $90 a plate. Completely, it was not where you went to eat. You went there based off of the atmosphere. But this is something I learned from a fancy restaurant. The product is the same. If anything, they even sell you less. At a fancy restaurant, have you ever gone to a nice restaurant and actually ate and you were full? You're like, wow, full, so filling. No, you go there for the ambiance. You go there for the fact that it elevates your status, and they give you so much little food, very little, right? But they understand that they're appealing to your status. So what do? They treat you well. Customer service is phenomenal because they are there not because of the product. They know that the service is key. You're greeted at the door. They're like, sir, if you had a reservation, Mr. Emmanuel, thank you for coming in. Absolutely. We have your table ready right here. Oh, your table ready right here. Absolutely. Would you like a glass of wine or some water? Do you want anything while you wait for your food? Awesome. This is the menu. And let's just get the menu. Okay, this is the menu. And then they're like, absolutely. We have a chile de va, whatever it is, it's a special of the week, and just is complimentary on the house, all that stuff, right? Give you all the complimentary stuff, and then they go ahead and charge you like like, yes, sir, this is your bill, and your bill for the water. The water was $79, and the plate was $8,000, and then all this stuff. You're like, dude, what did I eat? I know I'm over exaggerating, but the main concept is they give you very minuscule food, but they give you phenomenal staff service, great ambiance, and the ability to treat you at an elevated status. Because the thing is, you will underestimate the lengths people will go to just to feel like they're above the other human being. People will go through great lengths just to feel better. Human beings are super petty, right? I was talking to another friend of mine today, and he was talking about, he's like, yeah, I bought a Hublot. I'm not a big fan of watches, guys. I'm not a big fan of watches, right? I saw a Rolex for like 14 grand. I could have gotten it, but I'm like, what am I gonna do? Wear it and then just put it to the side. It doesn't. I think watches are great. But yeah, he was talking about a Hublot. He was talking about all the watches, and he was talking about this. He had this. He's like, yeah, man, I had a Rolex for 18 grand. He had all this stuff. And I was like, cool. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. And because honestly, to me, I was like, okay, what is that supposed to do for me? But it's more or less as a sense to when he says it, it makes him feel like, yes, I'm the man. I spent 18 grand on my watch. And, he's like, yeah, I have this, which is he's a phenomenal guy, great guy, right? But I started realizing most people buy fancy stuff not because of anything else other than the fact that, one, it elevates your status. That's very important. So that they get an elevated status. Two, they get customer phenomenal service. So when you wear the newest Nike, whatever it is, I don't wear Nike. I was wearing very interesting. I wore a Ferragamo. I remember I wore Ferragamo once, and it was just using as my work shoe. And because I thought it was just good quality shoes, just like good quality. And people were getting pissed off at me. And I remember this one guy was like, he's like, why are you wearing that Ferragamo to work? And I said, what do you mean? He's like, you wearing a Ferragamo? He's like, don't you know what shoe you have on? I was like, yeah, it's just a shoe. He's like, dude, that's something you wear for a special occasion. I was like, okay, it's comfortable. So I mean, it's a shoe. But everyone goes crazy, and I'm like, I don't get crazy for that. It's like I use a beat up phone, and then this phone is so beat up. It's an iPhone 11, and this phone is so. What is the word I'm even looking for? It's so slow because if you guys know, Apple slow down your phones just so you can buy a new one. I think so. And then I got a free Android for free. Motorola is something, and I'm using a Motorola phone. It's free, does the job, just terrible camera service. But yeah, it does the job. That's all I need is I just need efficiency. As long as you can do it, then yeah, you just gotta understand when you're building a brand, you gotta understand people will pay thousands of dollars for an iPhone, which I gotta even change my case. This is embarrassing. People pay thousands of dollars for an iPhone. They'll pay thousands. They'll stand in line. Think about this. People stand in line for a day, stand in line for 2 days to pay thousands of dollars for a phone. A phone. They'll pay thousands of dollars for a phone. Now, when you look at it from that perspective, you understand that Apple has built a brand. Now, whenever you're selling, you have to be branding as well. So it doesn't mean like you just completely just build a brand. Sell, but build a brand as you're selling at the same time. Build a brand as you sell. As you're selling, build a brand, nurture your customers, interact with your customers, let your customers know who you are, let your customers relate with you, interact with your customers as a whole, but focus more on building a brand. Because remember, branding is key. Branding is everything. Branding is how basically people are able to connect with you. Branding is very, very important. And that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. Basically, which was the Messi effect. I don't want to make this video longer than it's supposed to be. But if you look at Messi's stats, Messi basically, he has titles. I mean, he won the World Cup. Okay, he had like 3 to 4, maybe even 5 attempts at the World Cup. And then he won the World Cup. That's crazy. He won the World Cup last year, 2022. He won the World Cup. So if you look at his stats, if you go on a Statista, you can find the guy's stats. But you gotta understand, he's been showing up consistently, but he's been showing up delivering phenomenal value to us, the viewers. Okay, so you gotta think about it from a perspective of that perspective as to how can you basically sell your product, but also as you're selling your product, you can basically be building a business as you're selling your product, right? How can you make it that your cheapest product people are willing to, because remember, it costs Nike maybe 10-20 bucks to make the shoes and they can sell it for 400. How can you make something so cheap? Literally, imagine this. Imagine this phone is a Motorola, right? Imagine if Apple literally just swapped out the logo and put an Apple logo on this. This is a free phone, probably cost $40, but imagine they put an Apple logo on it. Boom. Now that phone is going for what? Now they can sell this for tens of thousands. They can sell it for $2,000, $3,000, and people are like, whoa, it's an iPhone? I'll pay $1,000 for it. That's it. That is how easy it is to basically, is the sense to you're building a brand. That's the most important thing. Focus on the branding. I'm always going to stress this. Focus on the branding. If you're not producing content, then you need to be producing content. You need to be out there making sure you're showing up. And that is pretty much what I have for you guys. Make sure you tune into the next live. And obviously, guys, enjoy